Another awful report about Lonzo Ball. He had a third surgery on his knee and could be out all of next year. But there are concerns about his ability to even resume his career. The problem is this surgery feels like a panic move. A report said the Bulls don't know why he still had pain. Zoe didn't even know why. So I guess they're like, let's just cut you open again. We have no indication this time it's gonna work. So does this mean Lonzo's career is suddenly over? Today's sponsor is So Rare. A bunch of people joined my free league, which I'm super grateful for, and I want to shout out who is in first place. But So Rare is a fantasy sports game and a marketplace with officially licensed digital player cards from the NBA. So you own and build teams by buying, selling, collecting, and trading these cards to compete with them in fantasy games, just like a general manager. And shouts to OG Badraji. I hope I got your name right, but he just won last week. But I have a special announcement. Next week, week 44, the winner of my limited competition wins a $100 NBA gift card. Get yourself this wild alternate Kings jersey, or literally whatever you want. But if you want to try, use the link in my description to sign up for So Rare and join my So Rare NBA private league. If you sign up using my link, you will receive 20 free common cards to help you get started. Then you can enter my common pickup tournament. But if you want a chance at prizes, like I said, that NBA store gift card, join my limited contender tournament. Again, use the link in the description to get started today. We'd never seen anything like Lonzo before. Public high schools are not supposed to compete with the best private ones, but Chino Hills had the Ball brothers, Lonzo, LiAngelo, and 14-year-old LaMelo, whose 2016 was legendary. They won the national chip, going 35-0, but didn't play scrubs. They beat 5 of the top 30 teams in the country, 11 of the top 100. In December, they beat Anthony Simons and RJ Barrett to take the #1 spot. But once Zoe went to UCLA, we really got to meet his dad.
I have the utmost confidence in what my boy is doing. I'm gonna tell you right now, he's better than Steph Curry to me. Put Steph Curry on UCLA's team right now and put my boy on Golden State and watch what happens.
LeVar trained his kids like they were pros from the time they were children. People called him the worst sports parent ever, but his son was drafted #2 overall. LaMelo is already an NBA All-Star. But that created high expectations entering the league, and it took Zoe years to fix his game. He admitted his jump shot was broken entering the league, and it took going to New Orleans to fix it. What I had to do was change my shot during the season, which was kind of rough because it felt so awkward, but it starts going in and everything starts clicking. So by the end of his Pels career, Zoe was their best shooter at 38% from deep on over 8 attempts. But the Pels did not keep him because they weren't sure he could be the third best player behind Zion and Brandon Ingram. And it turned out they dodged a bullet. Chicago signed him to a 4-year, $80 million deal before last year. They got slammed for the dumbest moves of the offseason, but made every hater apologize. Deep in January, they were in first place. Zoe is amazing on offense and defense, now 42% from 3. But early 2021, he went down with a knee issue and was given an 8-week recovery time. But he won't play again for at least 144 weeks. From day one, Lonzo's injury has been a mystery. They said it was not responding to treatment, so he went into surgery. 5 weeks later, the Bulls put out a video of Zoe lifting weights and running, which LeVar criticized as being too soon. And sure enough, by April, they announced he would miss the season. Meanwhile, the Bulls were collapsing. They went from first place when Zoe got injured to 6th and bounced in the first round. We didn't hear from Zoe until preseason after a second surgery. The problem is he had a mysterious knee pain that should have been fixed. A famous reporter in Chicago explained how bad things were behind the scenes. It's not like they're hiding something from us. They don't know what's wrong. Lonzo doesn't know, his camp doesn't know, medical doesn't know. I know they've talked about, yeah, he had a second opinion. I've heard he's had a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th opinion, that they are scouring to find something that makes sense. That is why this third surgery just feels like a desperate move. Unless we get news that some doctor has solved the mystery, it seems like a career ender. I hate to say that, but like if there was positive news, they would have told us. And if Zoe is like Brandon Roy, we may never see him on the court again. Roy was so good. He won Rookie of the Year and was an All-Star by his second season. Other players to do that are guys like LeBron, Luka, and Kyrie. Kobe called Roy the hardest player to guard in the West who had, quote, no weakness in his game. But in year 2, he had one of 6 knee surgeries. It got so bad, Roy had no meniscus in either knee and was playing bone on bone. That is the exact tissue that Lonzo's dealing with. And before Roy's 6th season, he retired, saying his knees had degenerated so much he lacked any cartilage between both knees. One reason is Roy pushed himself and put a ton of miles on his knees before even making the NBA. People are wondering, did LeVar's training style have the same effect on Lonzo? I mean, he's not the only guy to overtrain as a kid, because AAU culture has been huge for years. Old school players will all say, oh, specializing in one sport is bad. We all played multiple sports. Honestly, we will never know. People would love to blame this on LaVar, but my guess is injury-prone genetics have a lot to do with it. But the most popular video on YouTube for a while was, what happened to Roberson? He was a beast for the Thunder in the playoffs, dropping 17 points, 12 boards, and great defense to take a 3-1 lead over Golden State in 2016. 1 year later, he injured his knee and mysteriously vanished. He had 2 years of setbacks, and OKC didn't know when he'd return or why rehab was taking so long. He bounced around for years and is currently trying to make a comeback in the G League at 31 years old. But the worst comparison is actually the biggest hope for a Lonzo comeback. A doctor said Sean Livingston had probably the most serious injury you can have to the knee. And I almost don't want to show you this video. If you're even a little squeamish, look away for like 2 seconds. He's on the fast break, lands, and snaps the knee. He only played 50% of games the next 6 years until he landed on the 2015 Warriors. Then Livingston became the healthy 6-man we all remember from the Dynasty Dubs. But here's the problem with that being hope for Lonzo. Livingston had one gigantic injury. Brandon Roy and Roberson had degenerative knee issues that are more like Lonzo, and they were never the same again. With Zoe, the Bulls had a top 10 defense through January 1st. Without him, they dropped to 27th last year. Right now, they are in 12th place and could miss the play-in. It's gotten so bad, Zach LaVine trade rumors are popping up and the team's future is in trouble. The big problem is not having cap space or draft picks to replace Lonzo. That was everyone's complaint when they had that last rebuild. They traded a ton of picks and spent a ton of money to get Nikola Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan. Now they have to ride with Ayo Dosunmu and Patrick Beverley. But to get a quality point guard now, they would probably have to trade Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. Vooch can be a free agent this summer. It was a gigantic mistake not to move him at the trade deadline. Now he can just leave for nothing because it's not like a team's gonna sign and trade for him when they know they could just get him for cap space. The good news is that Lonzo got paid before all of this happened, and he's going to make $100 million in his career through contracts and endorsements. The bad news? Chicago is on the hook for another $45 million of that money, and they will have to rebuild this offseason. Speaking of NBA history, we talked about Brandon Roy and Sean Livingston. The NBA has been dealing with a ref controversy for years. An official named Tim Donaghy went to prison for betting on games, but now he is saying refs today are crooked for a different reason. It's why Fred VanVleet called out a ref by name the other day. Check it out.